Alright, so let's quickly go over crude. Again, it's a breakout. I was looking for a little turning point. It gave that, but these are very minor, small intraday trends that mean nothing, especially when the higher time frames are all up. So that's the whole point. So, and it's best to just wait for the higher time frame levels, because there's a lot of when you're going against trend. For example, let's say in uptrend, when you go against trend, especially daily, the chances for upthrust against your position are high. And same thing in a downtrend. Like in a downtrend, if you go long, there's the chances of getting sprung increase. And this you'll just see as a result of experience. What the hell happened here? Alright, so it's shaking and dancing. Right, so over here what happened was there was some cause and all that. It broke. All of a sudden you had this, and they just stopped out everyone who went short, watching this lower time frame, pull back. So this can be expected. This is why you only want to take trends. You never want to do one time frame ever, because anytime you do one time frame, unless you're like a scalper, then it's possible. But if it's not scalping, do not try to trend trade intraday trends without knowing the higher time frames. Also, I mean, there is a way to do it, especially if you have wide ranges, but I'm not going to get into all that. It's much easier just to use a lower time frame to enter larger time frame moves. You become more consistent as a trader. Anyway, where the hell was I? Okay, over here. So yeah, distribution break. Obviously tested the distribution break. Test, breakdown, test the distribution break again. Go down. Over here, there was an accumulation area. So you knew that if it's going to come in here, watch out. When it went to that support level of that accumulation break, there were buyers there. So what happened? You had a rally. What did the rallies do? Screw everybody out, right? So it just did that. After it did that, it went down. And why did it go lower than these levels is because the orders at these levels have been filled. It was filled. So where it's not filled, around here, that 45 right there. So this order is littered all over the place. And when it went there, take a look at how the market reacted. First, we'll be taking a look at it from the perspective of thrust, then volume, then distance. Right. I'm doing this because I know that that's what Wyckoff did in his study. He basically looked at, when he analyzed charts, when he looked at bars, he looked at closes. Clustered closes, or he called it progress. When the close from day to day made a lot of progress or little progress, then there's lack of progress. If there was a lot of progress, it would be a good close. Now obviously he looked at shortening the thrust, and then he looked at the range of the bar. So those are three attributes he looked for on a bar. Then he looked at the volume, whether it was increasing, decreasing relative to the background, and other things. Alright, anyway, coming back here, we'll just take a look at so thrust is not telling you much other than, yeah, it's shortening, but there's not enough data. Like, I can't really make heads or tails of it. From the volume, though, you can tell why the volume here and here and here is decreasing. What else you could tell is the distance from one wave, the second wave, third wave is decreasing. So selling power in terms of price and volume is weakening. It goes from 1320, 640, 1300. Does that mean anything? It only means something if buyers use it to their advantage. Otherwise, the sellers are just going to come right in. If the buyers don't do anything about it, the sellers are going to come right in. And guess what? The buyers did something about it, where you see this big wave, bigger than 1, 2, 3, 4 waves. on increasing volume right there. After that, it pulls back and now it's going. Now, why don't we do this in, for lack of a better word, real time, see where we're at. So I'm going to show you how to do it. How to measure trend strength, how to measure trend, like what's going on. So in the Wyckoff course, they use a couple of things. They use the thrust, shortening of thrust, as you all know. They also use halfway back as a measure. And I think they also use like some trend lines. Alright, so those three, at least those three pieces, because how do they use trend lines? When the trend line is steep, it's strong trend. When its trend line is not steep, it's not that strong. So is it breaking the trend line? Is it above or below the trend line? Is it in the overbought, oversold, etc., etc.? Now I'm putting all that to the side, and the way I'm going to do it is by taking a look at shortening of thrust, just like the course does, and also what David Weiss used to do, which is look at the volume of the waves and the sequential waves, first wave, second wave, third wave. In my experience and based on his guidance, you will see that either there'll be a shortening of the thrust, or there will be a diminishing of volume, or there will be both. And then sometimes there's a climax that gets really overbought or oversold, and that is another way to break the trend or forecast that the trend is about to turn when there's a secondary test or some selling after it. So bottom line, when you're looking at a trend, you want to measure its strength and where you are with it. So let's measure it. Alright, so this guy here, this wave, is on 13,008 bricks. That's this volume right here. The distance is $940. Alright, now let's take a look at the next wave and see increasing or decreasing. Volume is increasing, and it's not like a ridiculous amount, right? So it's not climactic. There's no evidence of weakness. However, the distance did shorten. Now you got to ask yourself, why is the distance shortening and the volume is increasing? Well, it is possible effort, right? But in this case, the reason is because of this brick, which broke out or absorbed. So the selling, the reason why there's more volume in this wave than the prior wave, you can't just say it's all right immediately, effort reward. It's because it's at a key point, and that point is right here, the 109, which is a lot of volume, and it is breaking out. All right, so right there is your reason for a lot of volume. Okay, has the thrust shortened? No. Has the volume diminished? No. So don't sweat it. After that, we see another wave. Has the thrust shortened? No, it's increased. Has the volume diminished? No, it's increased. So what makes you think that there's weakness? When the thrust is there, the volume is there, even the distance is there any indication of weakness yet? I don't see it. Maybe you do, but I don't see it. So we are examining trend, and we are determining whether it is weakening. And from what we see from these three waves, there's good volume, good thrust, good distance. So demand pressure is still there. In fact, the prior two pullbacks were minimum. All right. Well, that's all I have to say. So now let's apply this reasoning again to the next chart. All right. So this is a chart. Oh shit, this is really interesting, folks. Really interesting. This is the YM, and if you take a look, it's coming down to that level. Now I don't know what the hell, why there's so much volume there, but maybe it's buying, I don't know. But this you really have to pay attention. So let's just take a look at the daily first. We see there's a rally pullback, then a breakout, rally pullback. It didn't break out, but it went here and then it started moving sideways. My question is this absorption? Is that absorption? Because it's at resistance, it's not falling back, there's a lot of bars, and it's hugging that area. So I would be careful with the shorts because it's not reacting down. It's not. Now let's go into the Renka over here. We see a one pullback, 93,000, right? Not that much. And now the second pullback increases on 3 bars and 325,000. Why? Because of this break right there. There's a lot of pressure right there. That's why it's increasing, because of that 210. It's at that support level though. So what you need to do if you're bullish is start observing this to see what's going on. Now we're going to examine this. So here's the thing. Let's see. What the hell did I do? There's a lot of thrust, a lot of volume, a lot of distance on this wave. My question is this a shakeout or a climax? It's really important to be able to detect that. Because you see, at these levels, right? At these levels, they're buyers. Goes, springs, they're buyers. Comes down. Volume. The thrust was shortening. Volume was short. Volume was decreasing. There was buying volume here. And then all of a sudden, this damage came in. So we have to watch this area now. Watch this area to see if it reacts right back up or doesn't. So this trend is very interesting. Why? A couple of reasons. This trend is interesting because it might be in a climactic position. But look at all that volume. So explain to me, what is all that volume doing? Is it breaking? It broke right here, there's lows, right? But there's too much volume and it seems like it's at the end of a trend. So still you don't know until it reverses and you know, but it is in a position to test. So it is testing and we're going to find out. All right. Here, this is a potential climax. We'll see if there's a shortening of the thrust, etc., etc., etc. Right now, I don't see anything yet, but it is. You can start to, you know, think in terms of the process. Here, there's no shortening of the thrust, but this is a potential climax. We'll see if this is a secondary test and how much volume comes out on it, and whether there's a reversal back up, or whether, you know, it's weak, it goes sideways and breaks some more. On the daily though, what you see very clearly is it moving sideways. See, and in the here, coming back into this heavy area, this heavy volume area right there, right, the 259, it's going right into it. So it looks like a nice area to bounce. There's the breakout there. They tested the breakout, couldn't rally, so went a little bit lower. Now it's testing that low. And what we want to see is whether it's going to reverse here or not. So if this is a climax, and how I know is look at the volume, look at everything. Like, it's the biggest in all the waves. So we'll see. What am I looking for? Climax, secondary test, or shortening of the thrust, followed by a big wave up, followed by a higher high to confirm that this downtrend is over and a trend reversal is in play. If that turning point occurs, other thing that could occur is it just goes halfway back and continues down. So all of these things are being looked at. You can see that the bulls did try to come right over here and buy. You see, they tried to buy here. They tried to defend. On this pullback right here, bulls came in, and the sellers pushed back down into a spring position. Bulls came in again, sellers came in again. Then bulls basically lost, and there just wasn't enough buying pressure, so sellers pressed it down. Question is, are the sellers exhausted? And we're going to look for confirmation of that. All right, thank you. Bye.